Hello everyone and welcome to The Catholic Gamer Dude Takes a Look at Big Pharma. Hey, this isn't a review or a content video. What's going on? Yeah, I know. It's been a rough couple of weeks. I keep apologizing for this. I'm still apologizing for it. But we're finally getting back on track. In fact, I was even yesterday, before this is going up, working on that video actually. So we're making progress and it'll be up next Friday, come heck or high water. So it's gonna happen. Be patient, guys. I appreciate that. Anyways, while we're waiting for that video to come up, I figured I'd do one more Let's Look At, and we'll present to you something that I've been kind of playing on my off time when I should be working on the other video. What little time that I've had for sanity has been Big Pharma. So what is Big Pharma? Well, it's kind of hard to explain actually. Initially, it kind of presents itself as a kind of Tycoon type-ish game, of where, as you can see in the background, you're building assembly lines to produce medicine, as you would tell by the title, Big Pharma. It's a little more complicated than that, and something different. So, let's just talk a little bit about it. So, basically, the way that this game works is that you essentially build assembly lines, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And you basically try to complete certain objectives. Like the beginner level, you got a couple of different ones, like earn $1 million in revenue within 10 years, supply 300 appetite suppressant treatments, just a bunch of other stuff like supply, just different kinds of objectives that you can perform. And that's essentially what it is. And they just kind of scale up in difficulty to a certain degree. They introduce new concepts as things go on in the challenge, as things go on, from beginner, intermediate, advanced. So there's all kinds of different configurations for different games. In fact, if you come over here, look at the custom, you can, most of these are not going to mean that much to you at the moment, but you can set all kinds of interesting startup options for that, and you can customize, and I haven't tried any of these import or export stuff, but basically, you can see that you can do all kinds of customization in terms of how you want to customize a game, or set something, or set up a challenge for yourself or any of your friends or anything like that. So, all kinds of interesting little configurations, but you don't really know what those configurations are if you don't know what's actually going on. So let's jump into a beginner game. Now, the very first thing that you notice is that you can actually choose different CEOs. And you can see, you got Dr. Strangelove, you got, I don't know, what do you call it, Barack Obama, and just various types. And then you got, what do you call it, Greasebag CEO. We're going to choose Greasebag CEO for this run. So we're going to pause it right here. I'll talk a little bit about this. And this is where, things really start to kind of deviate from the typical Tycoon type of game. What you got here is, actually go back to that. What you got here is that this is basically your production floor. And this is pretty much the heart of the game. You start out in this section. These are both import and export. I don't know what you call them, portholes or, gosh, I don't even know what they're called. But basically, what you do is that you take an ingredient for a particular drug. Like, see, right now we have 2 available, and they both have things that they're supposed to cure, right? So this one is an antihistamine, and this one is a painkiller. And the thing about the way this works is that you want to, as you can see here in this top left corner, this is its concentration, and its concentration shows whether or not the drug is active or not. You have to get the concentration into a particular range. But obviously this also, what's the word I'm looking for? It will also move the slider around on all the different side effects as well. And there's a hidden max strength concentration, which shows the most powerful drug. You can get that, you can figure what that is later on in the game, in a particular game, by unlocking certain research equipment. But for right now, you basically just want to get it activated. So here's what you're going to do. So let's go ahead. Actually, we're going to import this one because you can, what I like to do is that you can get this activated without actually activating the side effect. And that will improve the overall quality of the drug and make people happy, and they won't get dry mouth. So we'll do that. So we're importing the drug now, and I've got it paused for the moment. So what you basically do is that we know that we have to reduce its concentration by 13, 12, at least by 1. So we're going to go into the basic equipment here. Now, at the beginner level, these come automatically unlocked. This is a dissolver. It just decreases concentration by 1, as you can see by the description. The evaporator does the opposite. It increases it by 1. So we're going to go pick that. You can see that it has ins and outs for its inputs. So we're going to go ahead and arrange that. And go ahead and, for right now, let's just go ahead and see what happens. As you can see, when it finally comes up, you can see that it kind of goes in, and it goes into the dissolver. And you can see at the top here that now the painkiller is activated. Now, since we don't really know what the overall, what the maximum strength of the drug that we want to do, it's not, what's the word? There's no real benefit to actually figuring out what the concentration is on that. Or messing with the concentration beyond this point. So we're just going to build another conveyor belt. And then we're going to go to makers, which basically means you need to convert them into a finished product of some kind. Oops. I did not build that out. Actually, it'd probably be easier just to go ahead and build this. Now, typically for pill printers, you want to build 2 because for like this dissolver, it has a processing time of 1, which means that an ingredient comes in and it comes out almost immediately. For pill printers, they have a process time of 2, which means they actually take a little bit longer. So you can kind of offset that and increase your efficiency by building 2 pill printers. So as you can see, hey, look at that. We're making drugs. The good kind, not the narcotics that get you thrown in jail. So that's kind of what you're doing. Again, let's speed this up a little bit. Make it go a little bit faster. And then we print out something.
Product name required.
Yay, product name is required. And we're going to call this the Pain Blaster. You can have a little bit of fun with some of this stuff. So what's going on? Now we're selling our drug. No, now we paused it. Go back to pause it. Now we're selling our drug. Yay! And as you can see here, here's our combined value, as in how much the drug is actually worth. Raw material cost, 35, processing cost 10, current profit 58. And if we go over to our company tab, we can see that our greasy CEO of Riboflavin is producing our drug now. Our cure rating is of C, and we're making a $58 profit. Katana Tech is our competitor. They will eventually release a drug, probably the same or really close to it. And so that's pretty much how you activate ingredients. And now here's where things get really interesting. You do have some aspects of Tycoon type stuff, but this game is much more scenario focused. So as you can see at the bottom here, here are my goals. Earn total revenue of 1 million over the course over 10 years. And as you can see in the tooltip, is earn 1 million for standard rank, 3 million for expert rank, and 10 million for rank master. Well, you're not going to get that on the peanuts of the level 1 cures, right? So what do you got to do? Well, you can upgrade it. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can do that. So we're going to go to our research. And what we can see here is this is our basic research tree. The idea behind the research tree, obviously, this is a lot more complicated in the later modes. But for right now, basically, this is all you really have to unlock, at least for this beginner scenario. Now we have our dissolver, which decreases concentration, evaporator, which increases concentration, and your pill printer. The agglomerator, I have no idea, increases by 3. And we're going to go... Actually, let's not research that just yet. I want to show you something else. So we go to cures first. What you can see is that we're developing a painkiller right now, but we could upgrade it. We could upgrade it using an there are a couple of requirements on this one. It requires a concentration of 7 to 10, and once you hit that range, then you can upgrade it with an evaporator. And then you have to bring it back down to a 9 to 5 concentration range. So what that means is that you basically, once you run it through the evaporator at this concentration level, it upgrades it, essentially. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see here. 7 to 10. Actually, I don't think it really matters what you do now. As long as you have the room to do it, we can go ahead and dissolve that sucker. Actually, I'm gonna have to buy a little bit more space. And now here's where, as you may have already guessed, this is when things start to become interesting, because the game is as much a puzzle as it is, you know, anything to do with, you know, managing a business. There, like I said, there are some business aspects to it, but primarily, it's about getting these complicated assembly lines functioning both efficiently and, well, I guess working, you know, just get to maximize your upgrade potential, as well as, you know, saving floor space, because some stuff gets really complicated. And actually, we're going to go ahead, research some of that, and then, oh, do we want to hire one more? Not just yet. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's see, Okay, so now we are at concentration of 10. So with that, we can upgrade it with an evaporator. So let's go ahead and grab that. And again, this is all about manipulating the concentration and then adding the proper materials. So let's go ahead and watch it and see. Voila! We now have, instead of painkiller, we now have eases migraine, which is an upgrade to that drug. So that's what we're going to do, and then we have to reduce its concentration. Now that it has a new concentration, so we have to reduce that. And then that goes down to 2, so we'll build 2 more dissolvers. And let's see. Now, and again, now already I'm starting to think, like, how am I going to fit this in here? Because I'm already running out of space to do this efficiently. So, put that in, and then we will go ahead and, you know, this is when things start to get really complicated. Let's speed the sucker up a little bit. It'll stop, like, it actually won't spill out anything.
A competitor has released a new product.
Okay, this is another aspect of this, is that the Katana Pain Away. And guess what? They had a painkiller too. And it's just, oh no, that's them. This is just like us. They've released a painkiller. You don't actually get to see the profit. There are some upgrades at higher levels for corporate espionage where it'll release some of that information. But for us, you know, the Pain Blaster, the Katana Pain Away, is a direct competitor to our drug. So what we can do is we can go to the ingredients tab. And we can see, you know, let's see, go over here, minimize that. You can see this is the net demand. This is the number of ingredients, actually, that have been used. Okay, so Katana Tech is actually using them as well for the same ingredients. I think we all draw from the same pool of ingredients just to make it fair. At the beginner level, the competitors don't matter that much, except that they can saturate the market, which means that your net demand goes down, which means that your price for your drugs isn't as high. And so that can kind of stink as well. And as you can see, things are already starting to get a little more complicated, because you're talking about, like, talking about concentration, you're talking about the factory floor, you're trying to put all of this stuff together so that it's as efficient as possible. And now I've created a eases migraine, so I can hook that back up. And this is one of the simpler drugs that you can upgrade, because other ones get even crazier. And so we're only at 15%. I may have to cut video to demonstrate the next section. Actually, I think I can load up a previous save file. I think I'll go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So now we got our new ingredient. It eases a migraine. It does cause dry mouth, so that is going to work against us.
Product name required.
Yes, it does. And so we're gonna call this the migraine. G-R-A-N-E, migraine nuker. Because that's exactly what you want a drug doing to your brain, right? Is nuking it. So now we're making cash, and we're making even more cash than before. And that's the upgrade for that. Obviously, it also has a side effect. So our drug is, you know, already we're starting to have 4 migraines averted, 5 migraines averted. We'll eventually see that we were causing some dry mouth. Really? Interesting. Oh, there we go. Yep. Somebody's mouth dried out as a result of our drug. So, and that's where things get really interesting about this game is because it's much more like a multi-layered puzzle game. This is probably the best way to describe it, because one thing that gets really interesting is that, as you can see, like here, back at our we just upgraded to an eases migraine, but you can also have anti-seizure medication. And that's even more expensive because you not only have to have a new piece of equipment to upgrade it, you have to increase its concentration between 15 and 18. You also have to have what's called a catalyst. Now, a catalyst is another component of this game. Let's see over here. So, like, this ingredient has this catalyst. And let's see, am I going to be able to unlock that? And let me see here. Let me go ahead and pause recording. Actually, I'm not. Well, yeah. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pause recording, and we'll take a look at this in a minute. All right. I'll be right back. And we're back. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show one of the more interesting cures that we can try to accomplish. So here's what we're looking at. We want to have a... Actually, let's go clear this out. Let's clear out this entire... do we want to clear out this entire section? Yeah, I'm gonna take this guy over for a bit. This is a... I already have this as a save file, so I'm not gonna screw anything up here. I sure hope so. Let's see here. So the very first thing, let's say you wanted to upgrade to a level 3 cure. Typically you would have an existing level 2 cure, but for this example, let's go ahead and just treat this out. All right, so the first thing we want to look at is, let's say we want to go to the relaxants. So we look at antihistamines. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look up, okay, where's my antihistamine drug? And that is right here. Bitter, violisticus or sure, why not? All right, we're gonna import that sucker. Now, what we want to do is the very first thing that we want to see is what do we need in order to upgrade it? We need to upgrade its concentration to at least a 4. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is a ionizer. It's something that I've researched for this file. It's exactly the opposite of what I was looking for. Hardy har har. The agglomerator. It is agglomerator. It increases concentration by 3. So you can see here. Come on. All right. So now it's up to 4. We've met the requirement to upgrade. We're going to upgrade it with a dissolver. So here we go. Do that. Now we're going to push that out. This is horrifically inefficient for design, but for demonstration purposes it will do. So now we've upgraded to alleviates insomnia. So now we can upgrade this to a level 3. And the way we do that is that we have to do a couple of things. As you can see the tooltip, you need a catalyst with that triangle symbol, and you have to upgrade from an 11 to a 14. So the very first thing that we do is check to see which of our ingredients has a catalyst of that type. And we have 2 of them that we can choose. Now, here's where things get very interesting, because in order to import this in properly, you want to see if you can actually remove at least one of the bases. And we'll get to the reason why in a second. Or, I'm sorry, one of the side effects are these slots. Because in order to use this properly, we're going to have to combine 2 drugs together. We're going to combine the antihistamine with the causes breathing difficulties, fabulous, catalyst. So in order to do that, we have to do a couple of things. First things first, let's go ahead and import that ingredient. let's see. Let's see. We can't remove these two. Can't remove that one. So the only real option that we have is this guy, and you'll see in a minute. Because what we have to do in order to get this to work is to this is alright, this is a dissolver, it's upgraded. Cannot remove the increase of blood pressure. So we need to process this guy a bit. So he's at 20. We can remove these two requirements, first at 13, 17, and then at 0 and 5. So we want to take this down pretty much all the way. So let's go ahead and rats. It would be nice. It would be nice if we had the one that actually halves the concentration, but we don't. So we're just gonna have to do this and hope that we have enough room. So let's go ahead.
Invalid position.
Go ahead and do that. Breathing difficulty, and that's the exact opposite of what I was looking for. I do that quite frequently. That wastes cash. That's why I'm awful at this game. But so here's what we're gonna do. First things first. Let's reduce its concentration down to 13 and 17, and let's see. So what we can do now is that we can remove it with, what did that say again? We can remove that with a evaporator. So now that we can remove this with an evaporator, let's go ahead and just plug one in. It'll take us up one concentration, but that's okay, because the more important thing is we remove this slot. So what's next on the agenda? Well, we want to mix these two together. So let's go ahead, and I'll show you if you just blindly go ahead and mix this stuff. And put it right there. And plug that in, and we'll go ahead and import these drugs. So here's the multi-mixer. We've taken in our processed secondary ingredient with the tag, and now we're going to get our
ingredient discovered.
Base, essentially. So, as you can see, what happened is the... so basically, what happened exactly? Well, if we go through it slowly, I'll show you in a minute by bringing this in. So what happens is that the two ingredients get combined together. And the way that it works is that the cures and side effects in the base ingredient will displace those in the other ingredient. So in this case, let's see here. Be sure I get this right so that we don't confuse things even further, because this is really fairly complicated stuff.
New world event.
Is that the side effects of base will this is the base, the one that came up on top, and let's see. So let's see. I'm gonna be sure to get this right. Cures and side effects in the base ingredients will displace those in the other ingredient. So in this case, this was the base, and it has 3 slots, so it displaced our active insomnia, which is actually what we wanted, and gave us just alleviate stomach ulcers with the blood pressure side effect of the drug that we actually want. So the first thing we want to do is we actually want to retoggle that base. But the other thing too is that now things are a little more still complicated, because we only have 1 slot, and we want to keep the alleviates insomnia, and we want to displace, well, we really don't care what else comes over. We just want to be sure that this first slot is available. So, let's see, yeah. So what we can do is, we can, let's see, actually, does it be better? No, actually, we're going to do it this way. So, here's how you solve that little quandary. You buy yourself a shaker. Now, this is probably the most inefficient way to do this, but here's what this does. And I'll show you. And the tutorials kind of go into some of this. They don't go into it in enough detail. But I wanted to show this overly complicated process because this is kind of the bulk of the game. It's really puzzle solving. And that's what is kind of alluring about it. Is that we shake this up, and now, as you can see, the slot is shuffling down. And so what happens is that we want the let's see here. Oops. That did not do exactly what I wanted because stop that. Try this again. Come on. Be good. Alright. So, here's what happens. We'll see it one more time in real time. So, the drug right here. So, this is going to shift everything down one slot. Because we actually want to shift it down two. And I'll show you what we do with that in a second. Because we'll basically build another one. So, as you can see, watch this slot. Is that it actually, the empty slot comes down to the bottom and everything gets shuffled around. So, what does that mean? Well, what that means is we want to build ourselves another shaker. And this is what makes this horrifically inefficient. Now, ideally, what you would do is, aside from jamming yourself up like I'm doing right now, in fact, I'm going to completely wreck this save file and sell everything else on this production line. So we get these drugs coming in, and then you notice that already things are starting to become more complicated because this takes a processing time of 2, so now we're starting to see gaps in our system. But now it comes back up to the top, and that's exactly what we want because we are going to replace things in the base. And I'll make sure that we got this right. So you're already introducing quite a few gaps. Look at how inefficient this line is. And that's another little interesting wrinkle in this game.
New world event.
Yeah. New world events. I'm not paying attention to any of that. So, let's see here. Are we stopped up already? Did it do that? Okay. So we have... Did that work? No. What happened? Let's see here. I think I screwed this up. Oops. Come on. Alright, give me 1 second. While I figure out what it did. And that it removes... Oh, okay. So, we actually got 2... Oh, that's interesting. We actually got 2 beneficial ingredients out of that. But the one that we really wanted, the alleviates insomnia, is now in this part of the space. And it... Oops. But it removed the catalyst. Interesting. Okay. Okay, I see what happened here. So, do you guys follow that? If you don't, I don't blame you. But basically, the alleviate stomach ulcers replaced the let's see, alleviate insomnia. So basically I think we want to retoggle this base again. So let's see what happens. And sometimes, basically, if you're an idiot like me, you have to kind of play around with it a little bit. But basically, now what we've done is that this stuff displaces whatever's in here, and what comes out is our alleviates insomnia, and it disappeared again. Weird. Alright, let's go ahead and try that one more time. I have a feeling I'm gonna have to do another shaker. Build another shaker. But basically... Oh, okay. No, I got it right. I guess that previous drug was actually just a mix from the previous time. So, now we have it. So now we can actually use another extremely expensive piece of equipment to do the condensing. So as you can see, this has a processor type of 2. So obviously, the more processing you have to do, the more expensive the drug is. Okay. Oh. I misread that. So, one more time. As you can see, this is how frustrating this can get. The alleviates insomnia drug is now present, but what's missing from it? Well, you need to get the concentration down to 11 to 14. And then it's 12 to 17 for max strength. So, what we need to do even further, and I'm wondering if I'm going to run out of space for this. So I'm going to back this up just a little bit. Completely obliterate this highly profitable line. Which is going to send me into the red, and that's another thing to keep in mind when you're actually putting all this stuff together, is that the more you futz around with this stuff, the more it's going to cost you in the long run. So we're going to go ahead and reconstruct this. Nope. There we go. We're going to speed this up to round 5.
A competitor has released a new product.
Okay. So now we've got our alleviates insomnia. Our concentration is 18. We got to get that sucker down to our target concentration.
New loan available.
Come on. But at this point, it actually gets a little easier, because once you get that down from 18 to 14, we can do that with 2. We can do that with an ionizer. And then we can do it with... Let's see here. And that is 11 to 15, 14, so we can do it with one more dissolver to bring that concentration down once more. Auxiliary makers, I don't have. Let's see here. Alright, so we got it down to 14. We pump that into the ginormous condenser here. And actually, we're going to put it over here so that we can make this a bit more cramped. So we're going to need space for the pill printers. And let's see, this incredibly arduous task reduces anxiety. Oh, goodness. Wow. That is a lot of processing left to be done on that sucker. Oh, but as you can see, it's incredibly complicated, but it does get the job done eventually. And, you know, as you can already tell though, we're processing the heck out of this thing. And even if we get this up to, so as you can see, it's worth 672, so that's a level 3 drug. And as you can tell why, because you had to build all this nonsense in order to get that to work properly. And I've completely wrecked these 2 lines as a result of that as well. So there's all kinds of interesting little layers on top of layers about how to do this, and you know, you can hire these explorer dudes to go find new ingredients. These research trees become more complicated. You can file patents. Really amazing stuff. What are the downsides to this game? Well, I guess the first one is that there tends to be quite a bit of waiting. That's typically true in tycoonish type games, while you're you know, processing a lot of this stuff. And just trying to run out the clock for the goals. You know, like, so right here, I've already reached the $1,000 in revenue, and I'm basically racing the clock here for 6 years remaining to get the rank for expert. Had I actually been paying attention, there was a lot of time off camera where I was waiting for things to build up to actually do this. Is the, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, I was waiting for all this stuff to run up. And so in some of the cases, like, you have to run down the clock for, like, you know, produce 500 of a particular drug or something like that. So that tends to take a bit. Other things that are bad. Well, unfortunately, just like anything in our modern age, sexual health includes, you know, morally problematic things like female contraceptives because, you know, hey, breaking a perfectly functioning human body is what's considered modern medicine these days. The way I kind of get that around in headcanon is take a look at my CEO, as you recall, and clear all this stuff out. Go away, go away. These are all interesting, what do you call it? Cases. Oh, this is my other one. Okay. You know, CEO sleazebag kind of thing. What does that mean for me? Well, interestingly enough, that drug value sucks. What is that? Riboflavin blood pressure, buddy. Interesting. Causes attacks of pins and needles. Yeah, I probably should have tried to process that out. But basically, you know, you can roleplay to a certain degree that you don't really care about, you know, being moral or anything like that. You just want cash. And some of the objectives in the game, you know, This one is increase total revenue. And so basically that just means increase the intake of cash for your business, right? So in that case, that's all right. Because you can actually process pretty good drugs that are worth high in cash, not make too much in the way of profit, because you have to do a lot of processing to get rid of, side effects and things like that. But that brings in revenue. And, because the revenue is not profit. Revenue is just how much money you're actually pulling in. So that's okay. Maximizing profit, obviously, when things get a little evil, because you want to process a drug and get the effect in as little time as possible, and you don't really care about the side effects. You're just going for maximum yield against as little processing as possible. Because as you can see, all this is going to add up pretty quickly. Like the mixers and the shakers and stuff, you're talking about $30 a pop. And what does that mean basically is that the more of these things that you have to attach onto it in order to get this processing done, the more it's going to cost you eventually to actually process that drug. And so, and that's before you, we took the straightest path in order to get this done, and we've got a ton of side effects on it. So, that's going to be a bit rough to kind of consolidate all of that together and try to keep your head above water, because you still got to maintain a profit at the end of the day in order to keep everything afloat. You can do things like take out loans if you get in trouble. In fact, in some of the scenarios, I actually take those out pretty quickly to expand and get things back up and then pay back the loans once I start generating a positive profit. Research, we already talked about the research tree. Is there anything else? There's some interesting things like improving your drug processes. You have analyzers that can actually tell you the maximum strength of a particular drug, as well as where the maximum strength is and the side effects. So basically, it's activated. A drug can be activated within this range, but concentration 6 might be the optimal concentration for an antihistamine, for example. That's when it's most effective, and that's where you get your biggest profit margin. It also costs more to manufacture, so you may not, even if you get a maximum drug, it may still cost you too much to produce the maximum effective drug, because you're processing it through a whole bunch of items, through a whole bunch of different steps. And that's just the interesting part about this game is that it's a multi-layer puzzle where you're trying to maximize your throughput while trying to get the best drug possible for the best profit yield. And so it just keeps spiraling, all while trying to stay within the space of these, I think they're semi-randomly generated floors, but I'm not too sure about that. So it's a very interesting little puzzle, and I'm finding myself a little bit obsessed with it. And if we leave this game, I don't need to save that anymore. As you can see, because there are different levels of achievement in terms of what, like the King of Dawn prescriptions, there are stuff like where you actually get all 11 drugs for the beginners that you're selling 11 simultaneous drugs. It's ridiculous. And this is, if you're at all a completionist of some kind, this game is going to keep you coming back to it, if this is your thing. So that's pretty much it for Big Pharma. I know I kind of rambled on a little bit, but there's so much to cover, and there's quite a bit of depth to this game. As you can tell, I haven't really progressed that much farther. This is kind of a let's look at format, so it's not a full review, and I haven't really gotten into it. If there are any other limitations, is that I haven't really found a reason why you're able to choose multiple CEOs. I've read that that the AI actually has a particular personality for each different CEO, so that can complicate things. Also, and then they add layers on top of it, like you can file patents, so that if both you and your competitor are selling a drug and you file a patent, they can't sell that drug, so you get the market share on that. It keeps layering on top of itself, and it's interesting. I'll give it that. And I keep coming back to it, trying to complete some of these. I haven't even gotten past these beginner challenges, and I've actually invested maybe about 14 hours into this so far, so it's been a trip. And that is pretty much it. I really can't think of anything else that I really talk about. Like I said, except for a couple of the morally problematic elements, as well as just a lot of waiting. I think that's its biggest thing. I felt like out of those 14 hours, probably felt like a good solid hour of it was just waiting for the clock to run out so that I could complete my goal in a couple of these. So there's that. But I did discover if I showed already, that you can right-click on the super fast one and go to 5 times speed. So that will help you a lot. And that's pretty much it. So pick it up. It's available on Steam, or I think it's on Green Games. And this has been Big Pharma. And that's pretty much it. Gosh, I got to come up with a better sign-off. So that's pretty much it. Pick it up on Steam or your favorite game distributor, and give it a crack if this is your thing. And like I said, not a Tycoon game, but a multi-layered puzzle game, and I think that's at least worth a look. So this has been That Catholic Gamer Dude. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time.